The book tells you about a family that is made up of parents and siblings. One day the mother has to go to a work conference, which I left her husband in charge of doing. She told her that they will remember the tasks that she had to with their children, like violin lessons and feeding them at the times they were due and doing their homework. The next day, they were about to have breakfast, but they had no milk for their cereal, and he gave you his father. The father went to buy milk at the corner of the store, and in that a very strong noise was heard about his head, and it was a metallic disc, and at that some small green people got out and told him that he wanted the planet to be theirs, which the father replied that there was no door for that facade he could not enter, and the father entered that door, which led him to a sea full of species, and in that they helped in outshit with pirates, and the pirate queen helped himself his life would wanted in exchange for him to stay in the pirate crew, or the world will kill him. But the father could not stay because he had done giving milk to their children because they were waiting for the cereal. They saw so much that they talked the pirate queen throws him into the sea in that a valiant goes, and the captain helps him to save his life, and the milk begins to thank the man because he saved him from the sea and said he had no problems. Mr. Question from the Biome had many things like a machine for the future, and the father asked him to take it home because his children were waiting for the milk. To have breakfast, his cereal of so many that it did not correspond. He told him that he was going to make a book for the future since at some point they did not need milk, and they could eat cereal with milk. The man of the biome told him that he could not take it because otherwise things would be delayed. He did not live a bit near his house, but he dropped it in a park where they were waiting for someone to be crucified. Since last year, the harvest had gone they had to crucify someone in a volcano to be able to head out for that problem that describes the situation. He was going to drop and wanted to go with his family because he had made for his children's breakfast. This is about when the volcano begins to burn light and smoke. Splat was very angry. He wanted to head his eye back. There was a very strong wind that the air blew you through the lab. Unfortunately, I drank the milk, from which he started screaming that he had thrown the milk. Later, the volcano stopped belching and invaded sadness, since his children were not going to be able to have breakfast since the Lord of the Biome took the milk. Then Mr. Stick finished going to the box with the emerald. And then he said that they were going to the future next to the vehicle. Explode was wrong as it was unrecognizable, and in the air there was a green emerald. Later, he picked up the emerald and saw some monkeys who told him that he was the man without milk. Since they had talked about him in their stories, then he started talking with the pony, and the teacher told him to hurry up that the volcano was going to burp. The volcano gave a little burp, and the ponies told him we knew he would do that. He already went up with the teacher and won get the first emerald. Then the teacher told him not to touch the two emeralds because if one thing did not happen, the world would cease to exist or some drovers would dance in the street. The teacher told him why was he sad. He told her that because of the milk, since his children were not going to have breakfast. Then a prophecy said that the truth it was a bird, but it was monster. In the end, they were already due to a volcanic eruption. And he said gave me two emeralds. Got down the ladder and placed the emerald. The eruption of the volcano had already passed, and I saw that the milk had fallen on some ashes and did not suffer any damage. And he went down it and shook it and climbed the ladder. Then they passed through a sinister forest, and the bats began to fly. They have also terminated their time machine. They have been tracking his movements through time and space. When he pressed the ground before, said an alien. It was half glued to the wall. Next to a big black button is called a button. I said shoot. The alien pressed the black button on the metal wall with something that could have been a finger. There was a crackle. There were several pirates, black-haired people of the jungle, a very unhappy-looking volcano, with a bowl with piranhas and some vampires. The vampires were from a narrow escape. The milk floated. The pirates will. We are going to scrap them, but for the grape spot, no, shouted the man with shiny black hair. The piranhas said nothing. They were frozen in time. The time machine cannot do more than open a small window in time and space, smaller than any of us could go through. Professor Stick pressed the button on the box with the tip in his nose, and an open window in space and time big enough to an arm to pass. I put my hand in it. Fate was take. I take her milk. 15 minutes earlier through the tiny space-time portal. If two things that are the same thing touch, proclaim the god of the volcano, then the entire universe will end. How can a volcano know so much about transtemporal medicines? The green aliens, being a geographical formation, gives you a lot of time to think, the global green aliens admitted. The part about the end of the universe, so I told you unless you want to spend the rest of your life in a universe that doesn't. It already exists, you better put things back the way they were. One of the aliens pressed the ground door every time left. Now let go of use or the mail wheel. touch and then go, leave this planet forever. The aliens looked at me and then sighed with a noise like 100 snot balloons. Could they say it was at the moment that a voice louder than anything else hears the eruption of the volcan at a very close distance. Said Galactic polished their hands shocked, but the milk did not touch the milk, and the universe did not end. They were flashing red and blue lakes, and then they pointed their guns at the globular green aliens. They are accused of breaking into people's planet and recruiting them again in another place. Again and again has committed crimes against the inhabitants of 18 planets and crimes against good. Takes every night on a moon with their hook plaster ducks flying over it sometime, very long with a head at the end approached us. It was attached to a very big body across the room. They asked if he was a gorilla, and he answered, I am not a human father. The woman holds the milk to make this evil recording thing is not hopeless disappear. After Anton approached Houston, then landed at the feet of Professor Stick, glanced up him and said hesitantly, will you be? You might be. The professor inventor Sticks pointed out to space some machine. From the very good Professor Stick, are you one moving in the time machine? Will you be the author of me travels into the an extremely distant future Professor Stick? The wishes of all dinosaurs, the pteranodon extended the tip of a wings to shake in and without thinking moved. The second milk from your right hand to the left where it was the first milk, they all gasped. There was a bubbling noise and mew as if 100 kittens were being stirred in a hook basket. Three purple dwarfs with flower pots on their feet appeared of no here and began to do a little dance. We all saw the words dance. They weren't human and they weren't dinosaurs. They had purple skin and they put on their heads had many flowers that grew day. They did a kind of complicated dance with a lot of leg kicks and then strangely as it came they disappeared outside Professor Stick. There was always the possibility of this happening if fortunately the universe is not over. Dinosaurs would tell us that in the distant future, small mammals will eat their breakfast, cereal with milk. Said goodbye to all these dinosaurs. He thanked Professor Stick for saving his life. He said nothing at all. We were both lucky that we took the milk with you. It is not every container of milk that saves the world. After all, that was me who saved the world. He said not milk at the space dinosaurs, where I photographed holding the milk and smiling at the camera. What are you going to do with the milk? They asked him, are you going to put it in a museum? No, no, I don't know. He told them, I am going to give it no my children for breakfast cereal. That's what his dad said. He looked at his sisters and his sister looked at him. Then they both looked around the chicken in his models of dinosaurs and his sister's paintings in his sister's vampire books, in the painting of a volcano that he had painted when he was little last year. and that is still in the wall of the fright. They looked at toy things and they looked at their dad. You know, we don't believe, and of this her sister said, we don't say no of.